Alright, so for today, I'm going to report about the Culinary Curator. This is my Facebook marketing campaign. So this will be the flow of our presentation for today. The introduction to Culinary Curator, Cutler's content marketing applied, and what have we learned so far. So I chose the Culinary Curator as my Facebook marketing campaign because I was not able to request a permit from our brand team because they are actually very much busy these days and they are actually managing their own Facebook pages for their particular brands. And it would actually be difficult for us to get a permit for us to create our own because it might actually contradict or damage the image that they would want to portray for the brand or might preempt some of the campaigns that they would actually try to show. So what I did was to come up with my own, and this is what I did, the Culinary Curator. So what does the Culinary Curator do? It is basically a page that is a venue for sharing culinary adventures that recommends good restaurants to try to people and to get a dipstick of what everyone seems to fancy these days. So it's more of like a museum where it becomes an online archive for shared experiences of different people from different parts of the world. And what it aims is to inspire everyone to keep on exploring on eating good food and share the stories behind them and the cultural values that they carry and the labor of love that went with producing it. And we all know that food brings people together in so many occasions, and it's a relevant part of everyone's lives. And thus, this curation project is a celebration of food, of life stories, of culture, and of living in a diverse yet beautiful world. So, what we want is to hear out each other's stories, and we'll surely have a great time doing so. So, for this particular presentation, we shall illustrate the usage of this step-by-step content marketing from the book Marketing 4.0 by Kotler Kartajaya and Setyawan. So I'm referring to this step-by-step content marketing steps 1 to 8. So we will go through that one by one uh, on how I actually did my Facebook plan or Facebook marketing plan. So this is again the Culinary Curator, a walkthrough application of the content marketing step-by-step process while utilizing Facebook ads and of course promoting culinary stuff. So first and foremost, we would of course would like to do the goal setting first. For this particular project, what we want is to drive more engagement among the targeted audience by tickling their curiosity and leading them to websites with more information regarding the food subject matter. You would also want to get the attention of merchants, restaurants, and food businesses to promote Culinary Curator once it has already created a large enough sphere of influence. And eventually, or subsequently, or consequently, you would want to influence them as well to visit the restaurants and also share their personal experiences about these restaurants, thus creating user generated content. So, next to that, we would want to map our audience first and how did we do it on Facebook. So we've set the audience for men and women. So since this is a test run and we are not really specifying just yet on what particular age we're targeting given the different posts that we are posting, but this is so far what I have come up with, and I'll come up with my realizations later on. So the audience are both men and women, aged 18 to 49 for one of the posts, and for the two of the posts that we've boosted, it's the range is 18 to 65 years old. The locations for which we are targeting are Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, and Philippines. So, as I've mentioned earlier, what we aim at Culinary Curator is to have a venue for sharing different experiences when it comes to food and culture and and also the different experiences of the consumers that are actually going to the different restaurants in the different parts of the world. That is why we widened the scope to Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, and Philippines, which are actually some of my favorite countries. And we tried to narrow down the scope as well through using the keywords food, food lover, culinary enthusiast, travel explorer, restaurants, good food, and Asia. So for the content ideation and planning, this is what I came up with. So what we all know is, of course, content is relevant to the focus subject matter, which is food, in this case, and the experiences that go with it. But specifically for the purpose of Culinary Curator, the content is more of a personal advocacy to pursue eating good food and valuing good memories and experiences that come with it. So later, you'll know how that goes or how I did it, making it more personal in terms of advocating those particular, go-to places. So, in terms of content creation, the current content is being done by yours truly, the curator. And these are like just mini blog posts that create conversations among the page likers and other net users. And the posts were more aimed at getting a pulse or a dipstick idea of what these people are actually talking about, what these consumers actually fancy when it comes to their dining experiences. Therefore, the posts that I've created are rather conversational. Like, for example, check out the good news, or who loves ramen like I do, or who loves ice cream like I do. Something like that to create a more conversational tone, a more friendly tone towards our approach to the consumers. But of course, in terms of content creation, for the lack of precious time, this is just part of the future plan just yet to create a more elaborate and informative personal blog that is all about food and link it to the page and create some influence to a good lot of net users and perhaps get the attention of also restaurants to promote through my website. So this is intentionally being done to eventually become a business by, getting the trust and also the attention of these particular restaurants for them to promote with us or sponsor us somehow by creating a clout among those who are actually interested in this subject matter. So, how did we do the content distribution? The content distribution was, we distributed the ads that reached about 24,230 given the audience map that we were able to provide earlier. And this shows that more than 50% of the people whom we have reached has an interest in the subject matter through you know, the evident numbers of post engagements. While we can see that who doesn't love ice cream, which I will expound on later, show the most number of engagement as if it's implicating that more animated posts are found as more engaging by consumers. It is also evident that there's really a boost in terms of reach when we invest on ads, as reflected on the figures of the organic reach versus the paid reach. As we can observe here, it's not even 1% of the total paid reach. The organic reach is not even 1% of the total paid reach. And thus, we could actually see the boost and the effectiveness of, reaching out to more net users. In terms of content amplification, we were not able to execute this just yet, as this is part of the future plans. So, what we intend to do is to post interesting stories of travelers instead of merely posting about food, to improve placement of ads across relevant channels, to feature blog stories with a renowned celebrity or expert regarding food blog post, and of course, to create short video clips and write captivating conversational captions like, "Do you like eating ramen?" or something like that. So, of course, content amplification will come afterwards since it's also already like a part of our realization that it should be part of the campaign as well. So, content marketing evaluation, how do we go about with it in terms of the results of the campaign? So, it is highly evident that the posts which are boosted exhibited much higher amount of reach as compared to those that were not. So, as we could observe on the highlighted part um, or the enclosed part within the broken lines, uh, there were posts that were not boosted, and its reach is rather really small as compared to thousands of reach that of thousands of people that were reached by the boosted posts. But we could also observe that although there are thousands of reach, the engagement is still low. So what did we observe? In spite of promotions, there were only minimal number of engagement produced, meaning the click-through rate is low. So that's where it is. And this could actually be a problem of targeting and gauging the relevance of content versus the target market, because we set the target too high or too broad a range in terms of location of those people that we are targeting, when of course the relevance of the post could actually be among those people who could reach those restaurants, who could easily go to those restaurants, not necessarily those who haven't really flown to the Philippines just yet, or who wouldn't even consider flying to the Philippines. So that's one realization. So, what were the boosted posts so far? First is Who Loves Ice Cream. Second is Check Out the Good News Cafe by the Ruins. And of course, Who Loves Ramen Like I Do, Kyoto Ramen Kairikia. So for the Who Loves Ice Cream, we were able to reach 14,472 people, and 13,535 of which were engaged with a minimum amount spent of 400 pesos. So here's what happened. Here are the numbers. So our video views reached 13,535. So there were more men as compared to women, with age of majority at 18 to 24 years old. And still, most of them accessed these ads through their mobile phones. And on the other hand, the top five areas are Calabarzon, Central Luzon, Metro Manila, Ilocos Region, and Western Visayas. So, what is our insight based on these figures? So, what we coined or what we realized is that for most people, videos are actually easier to consume in terms of content rather than reading reading text. Hence, it could be surmised that it is more engaging for most consumers to actually create a video rather than merely feeding them with text. Another realization is that higher percentage of male viewers somehow reflect their love for eating sweets or probably ice cream in this particular case, rather than more than women do. And the last one is, it is also evident that the younger chunk of the targeted audience spend more time on social media and are also more open to trying something new rather than getting fixated on one menu. That's why they tried to, explore and click through and watch the video through. So this is just the graph, just to show, for us to appreciate how wide the gaps are. So most viewers are actually men. The location with the highest number of reach is Calabarzon, as I mentioned earlier. And also, well, this may also be reflective of the number of people online in that area during the period of promotion. So next one is check out the Good News Cafe by the Ruins. We were able to reach 3,243 people, with 184 of which were engaged, and that's about 5% of the total people reached, which is still considered low given the 94% reach of the previous post. So, what were the results in terms of actions, people, placement, and locations? So, in terms of action, we got 51 clicks, commented one, and there were five shares. In terms of people, there were more women who were actually interested in exploring the article about Cafe by the Ruins, majority of which are aged 18 to 34 years old. And in terms of placement, still mobile devices the highest. And top five areas were Central Luzon, Metro Manila, Calabarzon, Ilocos Region, and Western Visayas. So, what did we see here? Actions actually reflect how relatable the post was among the people who it was able to reach. On this post, however, there were more women reached rather than men, while majority of the population are aged 18 to 34. And still, mobile phones are the most accessible source of awareness. And meanwhile, so this is very interesting, the top region with most number of reach may imply that many people in this region find it interesting to explore good food, or were thrilled that an old-time dining place in Baguio has reopened. So this post is actually very much interesting because Cafe by the Ruins actually got burned around, I'm not sure if it's 2016 or 2015, but it got rebuilt last year. And because it got rebuilt, a lot of people are actually creating clamor for it because they really serve good food, as in really good food, and they're very much famous for their bread and their chocolate. So aside from the very, classic ambiance of, dining within the ruins. So, yep. So this is just an appreciation of the graph that we were able to get. How many are actually from Central Luzon? Most of them are actually from Central Luzon, 54%. So that's a whopping majority of those who were reached. So third is the Who Loves Ramen Like I Do Kyoto Ramen Kairikiya post. It was able to reach 6,779 people with nearly 85 clicks, which is not even 1% of the 6,779 reach, and an amount spent at 238. So what did we learn from this? So still the actions reflect how relatable the post was, but given that this particular place is actually in a foreign country, which is Japan, it would not be it would most probably not be so much relatable to other people, since not everyone knows where Japan is, or probably not everyone is very much interested in foreign food. But see, link clicks were higher compared to the post cafe by the ruins, but this may also show a growing interest and openness among the audience for international flavors, like say Japanese, in this particular case ramen. Meanwhile, this ad placement was still most viewed on Facebook newsfeed and still on mobile phones. So it's very evident that mobile phones is the most popular channel for awareness these days. I think it was also mentioned by Jonathan Hawson during uh, his talk with us. So it's very interesting. Like, if more people are actually engaged to this means more and more people are, appreciating international flavors. And I think these days the culture of the Filipinos are rather more open-minded in terms of trying other food, because before we used to fear what we do not actually know, but since the internet is present and we could Google anything and everything under the sun, we could know how a certain food tastes like and perhaps be curious about it. So this is just an appreciation of the graph. So most people are actually aged 18 to 24. Well, for like most of the posts, the majority of the clickers, or the majority of the people reached, are actually aged 18 to 24. And this also perhaps reflects the age of people who are most likely more present on social media. That is why they are the ones that are being reached out to. And aside from that, they are also very much open to try new things, try new food, travel, experience different culture. So, yep, I guess that's part of the trend these days. So, going back to, of course, we're trying to evaluate what we did and trying to make a sense out of all the data that we learned. Going back to the goal that we have mentioned earlier, what we want is to drive more engagement among the targeted audience by tickling their curiosity and leading them to the websites and more information regarding the subject matter. Although reach is high, however, the click through rate is low across all campaigns except for the ice cream video, which received 94% clicks, or 94% engagement rather. And this only proves that video contents are more interesting for viewers to consume rather and explore rather than written text. In terms of getting the attention of merchants, which is rather a futuristic goal, food business to promote with Culinary Curator once it has created a large enough sphere of influence. So what Culinary Curator could do is actually increase its number of likers and followers, because that could be the gauge of its one gauge of its sphere of influence, on top of the engagement activities of liking, of posting, of sharing, of creating conversations or participating in conversations for that matter. So that should be part of the next phase of the goal of Culinary Curator. And lastly, influence the audience to actually visit the restaurants and share their personal experiences about it. So these are metrics for this. However, there's no longer covered by what is recordable on Facebook ads, and some recommendations for this particular goal will be discussed later. So, what could be improved? So, in terms of audience mapping, perhaps we could improve narrowing down the age range, it should be more specified, and perhaps even the gender too, if it's targeting a specific gender. And if ads are actually targeted to reach a wider sphere of influence, it connotes that there should also be a larger budget spent subsequently for us to be able to reach farther places. And more tags could also have helped narrow down the target audience further to narrow them down in the topic of interest. Next is the content. So, in terms of content, it should be highly relevant to the target audience and it should be more captivating to capture the attention, even of those who are just clicking out of sheer curiosity. Content can also be further amplified through creation of a dedicated blog for creation of culinary dishes and corresponding experiences to create buzz and more conversations among the community. And of course, concise, captivating, and informative content will also drive possible culinary industry partners to promote with Culinary Curator someday. And of course, perhaps we hope to make money out of that. In terms of metrics, additional metrics can actually be added for actual restaurant visits with Culinary Curator as the source of awareness. Maybe added through coaxing partners to conduct short, quick surveys with their customers to get follow through feedback if they actually visited and from where did they find out about this particular restaurant. That way, we could actually gauge how much came from online promotions. So, given those stuff that we have discussed, what have we learned so far? Facebook ads is indeed an effective and cost efficient digital marketing tool to reach out to target consumers. And the quality of content is highly relevant to be able to create impressions and encourage engagement among target market. The more engaged the target market is, the more they are likely to become committed in consuming certain products and services, and furthermore, advocated among peers. For ads to become more effective, we surmised that it should have both content creation and audience mapping come into play to ensure that people who it will reach are those with who are most likely to be interested in checking it out and eventually availing of it. And of course, this is the most important thing that I realized. Practice actually makes perfect. And to become a good content creator and an effective digital marketer, one must constantly practice using all the tools available to become more adept at it. However, learning them by heart is not an overnight thing, but cliche as it seems, but indeed, practice does make perfect. Just like Jo Hardanil, who's very much adept in using all these tools, and I admire her so much. But that's all. Thank you so much, Prof, for the fun learning experience this term. It was a very good experience to learn these different tools that I do not know of before. But to be able to learn this, I am now equipped with what I could actually use in the future to start up my business. So I hope to keep you posted regarding my future endeavors and thank you so much. I enjoyed this term. That's all. Thank you.